Welcome back to Dum-Dums and Dragons, where improvisers who've never role-played before journey into the world of Dungeons and Dragons. I am the Grand Wizard Bukake, your host. Yeehaw! Our heroes are in Wild West Faerun. Sheriff Quinny mistook Butthole for the criminal mastermind Red Reggie. Moss established her willingness to help others even in a sand-swept world, and Butthole was surprised to find himself devoid of most of his powers. Can he survive the sun-scorched desert and make his way home? Find out next on Dum-Dums and Dragons.
Butthole, Quinny, and Moss, after escaping from the Rife Elves and the Half-Leaf gang, you managed to make it back to Tombslab, a famed, well, not exactly famed, a shithole town in the middle of nowhere that no one really knows about or cares about, but you guys know and care about. At least temporarily, in your case, Quinny, and Moss in a somewhat more permanent sense, as this is where you've made your home for the past while. Tombslab is a small, classic movie western town, so everything is very dusty, and it is a very small settlement. Think one of the places you would find early in a Red Dead game rather than a place you would find later in a Red Dead game. I'm
just going to assume...
It's a small town from a Western movie, Laura.
Yay, thank you.
Yep, that was just for all the people listening to this who have played that incredibly popular game. It's not just about you players. We have an audience, damn it, with a shared reference point. But yes, so it is... the best way to think about this is that it is essentially a main street that is the central core of kind of quote-unquote downtown. That has the general store, the sheriff's office, like the barber, the tailor, and the weapons shop. A couple of which are the barber, the weapon shop, or one shop because it's so small. It's the same person runs both. You've got some outlying houses nearby. There's like a small rooming house on the main drag that only has about 4 rooms. Let me take that back. It's the rooming house is above the saloon, so there is of course a saloon because we wouldn't be doing a fucking Western without a saloon because the 4 rooms are above the saloon. So people coming to visit, if that was really a thing, take room and board there. There's the sort of the saloon itself, which is probably the largest building on the strip. Given that it's 2 stories, a lot of the shopkeepers live above their shops, and then outside of this sort of downtown strip of Tombslab, you have all the dwellings and settlements. There's a ranch not too far away, as well as Butthole. You notice a boarded up church, very small, but certainly kind of disused church with a small graveyard beside it. As you come into town, you can smell smoke on the air, and as you approach, you can see a lot of the townspeople are out, just sort of in the end stages of putting out a fairly massive fire on a structure that Quinny and Moss you would recognize as the stables. So kind of a large stables. There's people standing around holding horses. There's obviously a sense of the immediate danger has passed. The building is a write-off now. Unfortunately, it is. It's still smoking and sort of glowing with embers. But it looks like they got the horses out, and it looks like, generally speaking, everyone is okay, if a bit shaken. So as you sort of ride up to town, your second deputy comes rushing over. He's a spindly guy with kind of like long gangly limbs and a super long beard that's tucked into his belt, and he's just waving his thin arms in a panic. He says, Sheriff Quinny, it's me, old Tumbleweed Terrence, your deputy. I'm so glad you're back. They burned the barn, they did.
I can see that, Tumbleweed Terrence. Who exactly burned the barn down?
It was them Tingle boys, sir. They came into town and said we all best get off the land as soon as possible. This was our third last warning. They said they'd be back in 3 days' time, and they would be bringing a whole lot of hell with them.
Ah, shit fire. They say where they was.
I turn to Red Reggie, I guess, and just say like, so you were a distraction then.
What? No, I'm Butthole.
So you say.
Yep.
It's all a little too convenient.
I don't think being naked in the desert is terribly convenient for anyone.
Tumbleweed Terry, is everyone safe? Is the fire completely put out? Was it just the stables?
Oh, yeah, we managed to get everyone out of there, but the stables are a complete write-off. I'm starting to think all the folks that left town had the right idea.
All right. Who's left?
So
Just give me a rundown of everyone in the town. Get those names out nice and early.
baby. Unfortunately, Tombslab has been being harassed fairly constantly over the past little while by the Tingly Boys, who, as we know, are a local gang, truly a notorious gang. May not be a notorious town, but they are a notorious gang, goddammit. Okay. One of several in the area. And Moss, and actually Quinny, both of you be aware that part of the trouble is that Typhoneus Industries is trying to bring a railroad through here. And representatives from the railway have been through several times trying to buy up the land. And unfortunately, a lot of townsfolk have sold. A lot of the ranches and homesteads now stand empty with the rather lucrative deals given them by Typhoneus. But in order to take these deals, the town itself will be destroyed. And as a result, there are some holdouts, people who are either too ingrained in their ways, such as Tumbleweed Terrence, who really has very little other than defending this place against tumbleweeds to his name. And moving all those rocks would be truly a rather large pain in the ass for him.
Sure.
Some of the shopkeepers who would just be too difficult to reestablish themselves anywhere else, and also some families. There's a lot of kind of, my family has been here forever. The nearby Old Wolf Ranch has been a mainstay of this area for a long time, and the goblins who run it just don't have any interest in taking up stakes. So as is often the way in lawless places like this, the Tingly Boys have been actively trying to run the remaining people out of town by causing a ruckus and sort of harassing the town. Luckily, the presence of a sheriff has deterred them somewhat, but they are obviously becoming more and more bold. Quinny, this also poses a particularly big problem for you, which is something that Moss is unaware of, as you're trying to keep a very low profile given the price that is out on your head further east of Tombslab. So currently, it would seem that the Tingly Boys aren't aware that you're here, because if they were, things would likely be a lot worse. But really, you're banking pretty big on being able to use Red Reggie to buy your way out of here and to continue on your way. Moss, for you, this place is your home, and it's somewhere you've chosen to defend. And as you indicated to the mother and daughter in the past in our previous episode, you legitimately do. You've, in the same way that Juniper kind of honors her oath in Dumb Faerun, you're trying to bring light to this place, and this is a lawless, rough world, as you know, but in a lot of ways you feel like, because this place is small and is kind of forgotten and is kind of nowhere, you actually do have the opportunity to really make it special and legitimately help. And the remaining people are, most generally speaking, kind of on board with that. There's a real sense of like, we got to save the community center, guys. Going on. So in terms of who's left, the most notable people are, where's my goddamn list? I'll just shuffle papers awkwardly. Oh yeah, here we go. So you've got the general store, which is the Cattle Shield General Store, run by Leanna and her wife Kayla. You've got Unky Jim's Sarsaparilla Saloon. You got Shooty McGillicuddy's Pew Pew Emporium, which is the joint gun shop and barber shop. And you have the Old Wolf Ranch. Are the main sort of downtown locations worth noting. There is, of course, also the like, again, various farmsteads around. Old Wolf Ranch isn't downtown. It's just fairly close by. Also relatively nearby is the Booming Mine, which is run by the Rock Seeker sisters. So they and their mining operation are kind of one of the reasons that Tombslab has managed to survive as long as it has, because between them and the various ranches, there's been enough traffic coming and going that, you know, you're kind of like the if you think in Gold Rush times and say the Yukon, it's definitely like you need a town near all the prospecting sites because prospectors need somewhere to spend their money. And in a lot of ways, Uncle Jim's Sarsaparilla Saloon has been a big part of that, but also the Cattle Shield store is pretty big for that. So you are, again, a fairly inconsequential town in the greater scheme of things, but Moss, as you kind of have come to determine, in I think again a very kind of Juniper way, this place is small but important, and it a lot of people actually rely on it, and that means it's something worth protecting. And obviously the miners can't relocate because they have a mine. You can't move a mine.
What?
Right. They could leave the mine, but they would have to abandon what they're doing. So that's the lay of the land. The sheriff's office is kind of your home base. Quinny, that's where you've been living. Moss, where do you live, do you think?
I think I live above the sheriff's office.
Okay. So we'll say that you both then have sort of small, like, apartments basically above the sheriff's office.
Yeah, because this is like, for me, this is like it's like a 24/7 job.
Gotcha. Okay.
These people, so I need to be ready to go at a moment's notice.
Okay, great. Excellent. Quinny, then do you think you would also live above the sheriff's office, or would you have tried to take up residence elsewhere?
No, I would be at the sheriff's office, yeah.
Great.
Either in an apartment above it or I just take a cell every night.
Cool. All right. So that's the lay of the land. Tumbleweed Terrence seems to have things under control. He is decked out, again, like long beard, kind of tucked into his pants. He wears just a leather vest over his like fairly emaciated but still kind of ripped bare chest. And he has one of those full prospector hats on with like jingle jangly bits. Nice. Hanging from one of which is a deputy's badge. It is perhaps homemade. He's not necessarily an official part of the department, kind of a Dwight Schrute level of things. And
we had a big ceremony, made him feel special.
Well, honestly, given the nature of kind of like law in the Old West, it's also just kind of it was useful to have one more person. Moss, particularly for you, when Sheriff Mudbutt left town, you'd been informed there was another sheriff on the way, and then Quinny arrived, so everything was fine. But for a hot second there, it was a bit scary, particularly with the Tingly Boys and all the other gangs. There are a lot of gangs nearby. The hope is that the railroad will help to alleviate that somewhat, but right now it's still a fairly lawless corner.
While destroying the town.
Well, sorry, that it'll destroy the town, but it will in a way legitimize the area, because as soon as it's like building a highway through something. It's like the town will disappear, but civilization will encroach.
Yeah.
There's also a sleeping dog who's occasionally making small yelping noises who lives near the sheriff's office. So if you hear that, that's what it is. It's a dreaming pup.
Right. Okay.
Right. Well, so hello, new friend. My name is. And then he's been talking with Quinny incessantly about Moonhammer on the way in and has learned that clerics are not a thing here. So he's like, I'm Pastor Butthole. I got found out in the desert and now I'm here.
Oh, hey, good to meet you. I'm old Tumbleweed Terrence, and I'm a deputy around these parts. That means I'm not quite an official guy, but kind of better than a normal guy.
That sounds sort of like a pastor. And then what's your name? And he just points at Boss. He's like, we've confirmed what your chair's name is, but I don't know your name.
I am Deputy Moss. Now we have to get this sorted out. Who you are.
Yeah, Pastor Butthole. Follow-up question.
Tumbleweed Terrence is like, yeah, he's Pastor Butthole. He's my best friend.
And now Quinny's like, he's Red Reggie, everyone. I cannot stress enough the importance that this is Red Reggie of the Tingly Gang.
Oh, Sheriff, I don't think you're right on that front. He said his name is Pastor Butthole.
He's sunsick there, Terrence, something you might know a thing or two about.
Whose church is that? I'm just wondering about the church over there.
What
is that the church
immediately, Tumbleweed Terrence's eyes light up. And he's like, oh, hey, if you're here and you're a pastor, I guess it's probably yours there, Butthole guy. It's the old Church of the Hammer and Sickle.
Oh, it's got a hammer in it? This is the best day ever. And he just starts stomping over to that church. Like, he's just ignoring the scene now.
Quinny and Moss, your prisoner is getting away.
Yeah, no, the earth at your feet explodes. And I'm holding a smoking gun. And I say, hold on there, Mr. Tingler. That's not where you're staying. And I'll hand probably our second and only now remaining pair of shackles to Terrence. They cuff him there, Terrence. He's spending the night in the sheriff's office. We're going to get him some grub. We're going to get him some shelter and clothes, and hopefully he's going to come to his senses by the morning.
Oh, hey, yeah, if you've got sun sickness, fellow, you're going to want to eat some food and drink some water. Hang on, I got you. And he goes and, claps shackles on you.
Okay, but I'll just melt these off later.
Is that something
pastors are powerful.
Is that something I'm aware that Reginald can do?
No, definitely not.
Okay, so then he's just talking deranged talk.
Yeah, admittedly, also, Tyler.
Although he did break them off, so actually, hang on a second.
You're aware that this person can do it. It's not like Red Reggie is known for his ability to melt.
Right. Okay.
Shackles. I'll also say it's worth noting, Tyler, you've never met Red Reggie. You've seen the posters. You're certainly aware by reputation.
I know his reputation, though. Yeah.
But yeah, it's not like you have an active, despite your criminal past, you don't have an active connection to the Tingly Boys.
Okay.
So, Butthole, obviously, Terrence is moving to clamp shackles on you. You can try and stop him if you want. That's absolutely something. It's not like it just magically happens. But I think regardless, these folks need to take you in. Do you think you'd go willingly, or you do want to try and convince them? We're gonna get some dice involved because otherwise we're gonna be playing a lot of playground. I said, you said. I shoot you.
We've
I
got
have a
dice
shield.
and character sheets for that, so
yeah,
we can do that.
Whoa. I don't know if we need to shackle me. Listen, I got out of the shackles and then I punched someone whose head exploded. I feel like I've established myself as on this team.
All that's established you as is a survivor. And I feel like survivors, in my experience, change sides at the drop of a hat, whatever suits them best. So
But if I was rerun Reggie, couldn't I yell to them like, I'm rerun Reggie, kill these guys and we'll all get rich together, rich criminals?
Now, look, I'm about to say something, and it's not because I'm buying into this weird fiction you've developed, all right? I'm just putting that out there first. But Red Reggie would know that weren't his gang.
No, but it's like a different gang, right? You can make friends. I don't know why everyone here is all about shooting people and being in different gangs and burning things down for a train. I think you guys said something about on the horse ride.
You know what? That's a great idea. Let's make friends over in the sheriff's office.
Okay, but then why do I have to wear the cuffs? That's not what you do with friends.
You broke my other cuffs.
Yeah, so I'd break these ones too.
Well, then I'd have to shoot you because we wouldn't have cuffs anymore. And I need to be able to control you because I am the sheriff of Tombslab.
But then I'd have to fart on my hands and punch you, and I like you.
Look here. I just have to say, we have to develop a certain amount of trust between us.
Okay.
Look, we are here to protect this town, and you are currently an unknown quantity.
No,
So
I'm Pastor
please just
Butthole.
trust us. We don't want...
I explained it on the horse.
Look, we don't want to hurt you, but we also don't want you to hurt us or anyone here in this town. And
What
we're
if
not...
I promise not to? Like, I swear on Moonhammer that I won't hurt anybody in this town.
That doesn't mean anything. Cuff him, Terry.
I have told you about Moonhammer so many times. Strength, joy, and flatulence. That's my goddess. She rules hell. If I break that thing, I'm going to be in so much trouble. Did you see my hand farting? If I break rules with Moonhammer, maybe that could go away. I need that.
All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ryan. Roll me a persuasion check. And Tyler, go ahead and roll me using your original Quinny stats. Oh boy, what stat would that be?
Can I make or at least put something out there?
Please do.
As a detective, my detective build that you've been so kind to provide me with, I have a skill called Ear for Deceit.
Oh, hey, that seems more appropriate than anything I was going to
Nice.
come up with. Let's do that.
When making a wisdom insight check to determine whether a creature is lying, I can treat any roll of 7 or lower as an 8. So it just basically gives me base 8 plus my
Stuff.
whiz modifier
Yeah, I love that.
plus 2.
Great. Let's do it.
Cool.
And I'm going to use my inspiration.
Okay.
Inspiration?
Fight to
How
the
long have
death.
you had inspiration? Is that like a Kraken inspiration?
No, I got it during the fight.
He rolled
I
a.
must not have been paying attention. I'm
Okay.
sorry. I
It's
thought
all
I
up.
was just like, holy shit, dude, good pull. Like,
Wow.
I was like,
No, he got a point for rolling a natural 20 in a situation where having a natural 20 wouldn't help him in any way, shape, or form because he was just hiding. I was like, oh, this feels like a waste.
so I rolled a 17 on my insight check to see if he's lying.
Okay.
And I got a 15 for persuasion. Oh, wait, no, more than that. I got a 17 for persuasion.
Ooh, boy. Well, here's the thing. He isn't lying. So weirdly, the tie kind of makes sense because you're trying to determine whether or not he's lying. He doesn't seem to be. And also,
I have
Quinny.
a gun.
Yeah. Well, look, he's coming to the sheriff's office regardless. It's just whether or not he comes in shackles or of his own volition. I think.
Oh, I wasn't aware. I thought it was like this was still maybe he's going to that church. Okay.
No. This is like we're all going to the sheriff's office to make friends because I think Moss's argument is the kind of thing Butthole would respond to, which is like, okay, yeah, this is fair. We can sit down and have a chat. I'm not going to do it in chains, which is also a vaguely fair statement. I'll also say, Quinny, one thing for you to keep in mind, or Tyler, for you to keep in mind as you play Quinny in this situation, is given that you yourself are also pulling a con right now, there's some real danger to like, it's a delicate situation. Playing it hard as a sheriff is fair, but like, it's not like you're also just a good sheriff. So I think in this case, you're playing it exactly right, but just also keep in mind that you're not a real sheriff, so you don't actually know how any of this works. So yeah. Anyway, things for you to know. And
This
for
is
Laura to
really
find out.
fitting with my rewatch of Banshee. This is great.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll trot Goblin Jr. over to basically be between Butthole and the church. And at the other end of our one big street is the sheriff's office. And I will gesture over to the sheriff's office, make sure you know what I'm looking at, and say, all right, you don't have to wear the cuffs, but you're marching over that way.
Oh, wow. You guys are marchers? That's kind of weird. And then he just starts like formally like military marching towards
Like
that place.
Greywater March.
Yeah. Like knees almost to chest height with each step and a stomp to the ground. And then he's just yelling, hup, 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 with every step as he heads that way.
I mean,
You're
Quinny's
a
like,
strange fella, but I kind of like your energy.
now I'm starting to wonder how much of it really is sun sickness and maybe just, I don't know, how dangerous Reggie is all blown out of proportion.
Tumbleweed Terrence is absolutely matching it, but he's completely out of step and is hupping on the wrong hups. And it's more like haps. So you're kind of like hup, hap, hap, hup, hap. Like he's like a bad Mario sound effect. And he starts ham boning as he goes.
Wow. This guy's pretty great. I'm thinking we should keep you around. When I take over that church, you can live there if you want. You're cool.
And Butthole, you do absolutely recognize him as this universe's Tornado Town Terrence.
Oh, I knew another you, and he was great too. Do you have rocks you talk to?
Oh, yeah. There's gold in some of them, I hope.
I don't know. Let's find out. Well, I mean, in a bit. I said I'd go talk to these new friends because they're worried I'm some sort of weird murderer.
Don't worry. I put the shackles on myself, so that way we'll know we're all friends.
Oh, good. That'll keep you safe.
Hands as he's like awkwardly ham-boning.
I love the fact that it's not just like the isolation, like the madness of his like hermit life that has made him talk to rocks. He's just like this, whatever his situation.
For what it's worth, Tumbleweed Terrence, before he became a deputy, spent a bunch of time in the gold rush. So yes, the isolation got to him here too.
Okay.
It's just a different kind of isolation because he was like panhandling for gold or like panning for gold
Yeah.
in the desert. He went to the wrong place. And now he defends this town from tumbleweeds. Not giant tumbleweeds, just tumbleweeds. Yeah. He's got gold madness.
Beautiful.
Great. So with that, the Ryan, you and Tumbleweed Terrence march into the sheriff's office. Quinny, you on foot. Moss, you wheel yourself over there, and you find yourselves in the sheriff's office. So the sheriff's office is kind of small. There's a sort of a big desk for you, Quinny, the sheriff's desk that has a sort of a big rusty axe hanging on the wall behind it, a leftover from the previous sheriff. There are wanted posters all over the walls in here. It's like one wall is pretty much all mugshots of various criminals. As I said, this whole region has been written off by the slow lurch of civilization as a no man's land. Very much in Red Dead terms, it's kind of one of the last places outlaws feel comfortable existing. There's that weird kind of outlaw lifestyle that was rapidly fading at the kind of decline of the West, and that is very much the region you're in. People clinging to the last vestige of a life that is rapidly disappearing. As a result, people like the Tingly Boys, the Half Leaf Gang, and a bunch of other ne'er-do-wells are well known to you, and the Greywater Detective Agency is very eager to catch as many of these people as they can in the hopes of bringing civilization, quote, quote, to this part of town. Moss, you and Tumbleweed Terrence share a much smaller desk over closer to the jail cells. It's not like a police station where I think you have like a desk with all your files in it. It's more of just whichever deputy's job is to watch the jail cells sits there. Again, Tumbleweed Terry isn't exactly an official deputy, so he's more your relief when you need a break. But it's home. It works. There are 2 cells at the back of the back of the office that are currently empty. They're kept relatively clean because I feel like, Moss, you take a lot of pride in what you do, so I think you would like legitimately make sure the like even criminals deserve a thing. And admittedly, a lot of the people you would lock up in this region would either be like bandits who are awaiting pickup by the Greywaters, or like drunks, or like people got in a fight. So it's also kind of your neighbors. Like there's a bit of that vibe where it's, you know, that classic trope from Westerns where it's like, Jimmy, you're back again. Oh, I'm sorry, Sheriff. Like it's a lot of that shit where you're not locking up random people. You're locking up your friends and neighbors.
Also, just like everyone deserves some dignity.
That's nice. That's a nice idea too. There's a small, I think we'll say there isn't a stairwell inside. You have to go out and around because in my head, all Western buildings are like, oh, the stairs are around back and they're outside for some reason. That's how you get up there. But overall, it's there's a sort of a coolness to it from an old runestone sitting in a shallow bowl just on the edge of the sheriff's desk that sends just kind of a gentle cooling mist throughout the room, because even though we are in Old West Faerun, magic is still very much a thing here. Connections to gods might work a bit differently, but magic is still present, if somewhat secondary, if that makes any sense. Black powder weapons are still the order of the day, but magic is certainly alive and well in this universe as well. Entering the sheriff's office, Butthole, your eyes are immediately drawn to the sort of pictures on the wall of criminals, and specifically a chill falls over you, not just from the runestone, as you see your dad's face on one of the posters, admittedly with a rather large and somewhat you-ish beard, but you definitely recognize the arched brows and the patrician sort of cheekbones and everything else, listed under a wanted, dead or alive, Angel Eyes Archie Tingler.
Okay, well, I'll take that one down. That one's definitely going to go with it, where he's like, claim, thank you. And then is there like a Quinny's desk or whatever? Does the chair behind it look comfortable?
Yeah, it was formerly Mudbutt's chair, and I feel like Mudbutt wouldn't abide a bad chair.
Yeah, then I think Butthole, because Quinny will have to get off his horse and get ready, will go take Quinny's chair and just like sit down comfortably with the Archie Tingler in his hand.
I should point out there's also a Red Reggie.
He'll take that one too. This is starting to make sense to him now.
Great. Okay. And Terrence is like, okay, well, make yourself at home. Oh, I see you already did. Oh, we'll be calling you sheriff before long there, Pastor. Okay, well, I don't have the keys to these here manacles. Oh, no. So he just goes and, like, sits awkwardly like a kid who knows he's done wrong at school and waits for everyone to arrive. Quinny and Moss, you arrive moments later. Quinny, you find Butthole sitting behind your desk.
I have ridden Goblin Jr. into the sheriff's office because the stables burned down. So Goblin Jr. is staying in here with us tonight.
Right.
And so from my horse, I gestured like, that's not your place. Your place is going to be in one of these cells over here. You're going to get a nice comfy bed, and that's my desk. So come on now, up and at 'em.
Okay, now let's be realistic here. I'm not going to jail because I didn't do anything wrong. However, I'm starting to figure out the mix-up. So you see these two, and he'll just hold up his wanted things, and he'll be like, that's my brother, and that's my dad. I mean, from another dimension, but that's it. We can go kill them. I don't like them. Do you get money if we kill them or something?
What does the wanted poster say? You're holding it up. Do you see reward? Do you see 50,000 gold? Do you see 100,000 gold?
What do I see, Tom?
You see, we'll say 1,000 gold for the death of Angel Eyes, and 300 for Red Reggie.
Yeah, I honestly, like, great. We kill them. You can have all the money. I just don't like them. But here's the thing: if you think I'm them, they're gonna take the money back. You're still gonna have the problem. They're probably gonna put you on one of these things for trying to con them with some guy's head. It's gonna get really complicated.
Moss, can you roll me a perception check, please?
Yeah. Perception is, oh dear, 5.
Okay. You notice that Terrence is sitting kind of on your desk, and he's manacled, so you go to deal with that while the sheriff deals with this bigger feud. Tyler, can you roll me a perception check, please?
9.
Cool.
Wait, I've got +4 perception. Sorry, new proficiencies.
Gotcha.
12.
12. Looking at the poster of Red Reggie next to Butthole's face, they do indeed look different. You can see some sort of marked differences. Now, granted, it is a hand-drawn picture, so could just be artistic license. But given that, similar to, Jesus, we're going pretty far down a rabbit hole here in weird meta talk, but in the same way that alt universe vampire Bryn look different from dumb Faerun Bryn slightly, like by degrees. Butthole and Red Reggie look different by degrees because Red Reggie in this universe has a different mother because there is no Emily around, if that makes any sense. So it's enough, like obviously Quinny doesn't know that, but looking between them, there are, the nose is different. Like there are some drastic changes between these two faces. But again, it is hand drawn, but it just to add to your kind of bag of clues for the eventual determination I'm sure you'll come to that this is not Red Reggie.
So I let you finish talking about how it's not a good idea to try and cash in the bounties like this, or rather that you would rather get these two on the posters, trying to convince me that you're not one of them. But I think from Sheriff Quinny's perspective, like the big, like glaring issue is like, you are not in a cell yet. You need to be put in a cell. So that's what Quinny kind of sticks to. And he says, we can talk for as much as you want. Are you hungry? We can feed you as well, but you need to get into a cell first. We will even talk about who you really are, pal.
But that's not what Moss said. Moss said we were going to come here to be friends. Now we were going to come here to put me in jail. This is starting to sound like a trick.
I have not once lied to you. I'm bringing you here to put you into jail. Don't worry about that. We can become friends if you are more amenable and agreeable to the orders of the sheriff.
You can't trust cops. I know that. They ask questions, they pretend to be your friend, and then they put you in jail, and then you get framed for things. I almost got executed because of a stupid butler. I'm not falling for this crap.
All right,
Moss?
Deputies, and I just call on Moss and Terrence to basically manhandle Butthole into a cell.
Terrence stands with his hands manacled. He says, okay, I'm going to need you to come over here and just be real tight so I can just kind of like, I can get one arm.
This guy's not a monk here, is he? God damn it. I was like, this guy will be able to handle people. All right.
No, man, his class is Prospector.
I roll my eyes and I ride, or I hop down off of Goblin Jr. and I guide him into one cell. I take out my knife and I just cut the mattress open and just let him eat the straw from the mattress. And then I say, "There's a good boy." And I go over. I walk over to Terrence and I'll just pick the lock on his manacles.
Okay, sure. So his manacles come open and he's like, "Oh, thanks, Sheriff. That's why you're the sheriff and I'm just the deputy." And then he like tings the thing on his hat.
Yeah. Now be a good deputy and get this guy into a cell. You too, Moss.
Can I just have a private word, Sheriff?
Sure, yeah. Well, Reggie the Red's just behind my desk in the sheriff's office. Yeah, okay, yeah. Let's have a quick chit-chat.
It's Pastor Butthole.
And we just kind of basically just like covering my mouth and just kind of turning slightly, saying, Sheriff, I'm not sure that this is quite the right approach. I'm a bit worried if we push this fella, he might be able to overpower us. So perhaps we should have a slight lighter touch. Look, he got out of his manacles the first time, and he handled himself pretty well back there. I'm just saying.
So, what do you recommend, Deputy? Since this guy's bigger and stronger than us, we probably shouldn't arrest him, even though he's a wanted criminal. We probably should just kind of let him go, let him be. Is that how we enforce the law here
not at
in
all.
Tombslab?
I'm just saying.
Or do we suggest the law? I thought we enforced it.
I think you're being very black and white about this. I think this is a situation that requires a little finesse.
Show me how it's done, Deputy.
I don't know how to show you how it's done. I'm not very good at that. I'm just suggesting a course of action for you as the sheriff.
While you're debating this, Terrence kind of looks at Pastor Butthole, looks at the cell, and he takes out a rock and he says, "What? Oh, good idea." And then he just goes and sits in the cell and he pats the bench next to him and says, "You want to become friends with old Tumbleweed Terrence? Maybe you could just come have a seat here with me, bud. I'll hang out in here with you."
Okay, Terrence, I really like you, but this feels like a low-level trick to me. I'm sorry, but he got me all suspicious, you know? Why don't you come sit with me on this chair? You can sit on my lap and we can tell stories. I want to know more about this gold inside your rocks.
Oh, I'd love to tell you, but the sheriff said we have to do it in the cells. So I'll just hang out in here with you. That way you know you're not alone. That's what little golden boy told me. And he holds out a rock.
Oh man, that's pretty hard for Butthole to argue with. Tom, let's do a roll on this one because I'll do I'll do insight and you do persuasion for him.
Sure. Yep.
I got 12.
I got a 23.
Oh, I'm gonna go sit with this fucking guy and talk about rocks. This sounds great.
Cool.
Is there anything nice on the desk?
Would I have anything nice on the desk?
The runestone, right?
I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
on the
there's the
Yeah.
cool mist runestone.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Quinny, I am curious. You haven't actually been here that long in Tombstone or Tombslab rather. Tombstone would be too official. You haven't been in Tombslab that long. Do you think you would have moved in a bunch, or are you kind of viewing this as a temporary port of call?
I think it's probably feeling. I don't think he personalizes this place too much, really. I think he keeps tools here that he might need. So let's say there's a ring of keys on the desk.
Cool. Yeah, that makes sense. Otherwise, I think there's just a sort of a mess of papers.
Yeah, there'd be documents
and a lot of stuff that Mudbutt would have left. There's also just like flagon of ale rings on a lot of the papers, so a lot of them aren't readable because they've clearly been used at like it's basically like the coffee ring from like a sad detective's office. But if it was ale, and the desk smells mysteriously of pork and apples.
All righty. I think Butthole will then just pick up the keys and put them in his underwear and then go into the cell and sit down. He doesn't have pockets. All he has is a poncho and a hat, so the underwear's the only storage he has.
Yeah. So Quinny will walk over and try to lock the cell, realizing he has no keys to lock it with. And we'll look at Butthole and say, "Come on, funny guy, give me the keys."
No. This isn't time for that. I'm making friends here. I'll talk to you in a minute. So
I'm
Mr.
coming in. I'm coming. And I feel like Quinny is like, he's basically got to walk this balance of like, if this were anybody else causing this much trouble for like just like disobeying a sheriff's orders and stuff like that, I feel like that's grounds to shoot the person. Quinny can't kill his bargaining chip. So he's trying to basically act as tough as he can, but this guy also seems to be so delirious from sun sickness that like he doesn't seem to get that like he's in danger. He like was like kind of like joking and jovial on the way over here, even though he was naked in the desert and like starving. So he just is. So I think he's just trying different tactics. So in this instance, he takes out his revolver and kind of sticks it in your face, and with his open hand is like, "Give me the keys now."
And then Tom, I would like to use an ability that I have as a preacher. Butthole's used to wearing about 60 pounds worth of armor. Now he's not, which means he is both vulnerable, but also he has all the strength of a man used to carrying 60 pounds in the body of a man who is now not carrying 60 pounds. So he's like almost circus acrobat level jump strong. I have a new ability that I think I will just call like, farticular fortitude or something like that, which is just his incredible strength sans armor. I am faint. It's called faint-hearted in this. So if someone tries to make a melee attack and I'm not incapacitated, I can move up to 10 feet away from the attacker as a reaction and not provoke attacks of opportunity. So it's almost that cartoon of like, just below gun out of cell again, just outside. Wait, and be like, I don't think we need to do this whole gun thing. I will put the keys in my butt if you make me do this. Don't make me do this. And he'll just reach down and put one hand in his underwear under his poncho. I will keister these.
At this point, it's like he's like, I feel like it feels like an escape now, right? Like he's darted out of the cell. So I think for Quinny, it's all like we have to get him and we have to subdue him. So Quinny will shout out like, "He's escaping!" And I will run after you. Are you going to keep moving, or did you just move 10 feet and you're going to plant?
I think he was there, but if you come at him, I mean, realistically,
I would come at you.
He's gonna bolt. He's not gonna like stand there.
This is perfect. So we're doing like a foot chase. So I'm gonna grab a lasso off like hanging on like a notch on the wall out the door, and just be like, "Come on!" and just get after you.
Great. Let me give you some stats for that.
I'm still between Butthole and the door, right? Like,
did you enter the cell?
No.
Would you stop him if he burned past you in a...
Yes.
All right. Okay. Well, we'll deal with that in a sec. Okay. So, Tyler, the lasso is... sorry, I just got to find which of these characters has it. Really? Anytime now. This thing... Nope. Sorry, guys. 1 sec. Didn't know we'd need this soon. I should have.
We could be exploring the plot, forwarding the story, but we're both playing such stubborn characters.
Look, guys, we've been at this for 5 seasons. This isn't a surprise. This is an inevitability. Okay. Sorry, folks. No. Okay, I got a good feeling about this one. Yay! All right, so Tyler, the way this works, you target one creature within 20 feet. They have to succeed a DC 13 Dex save, or they become grappled.
With my lasso?
Yeah. Well, grappled, cool. You can use an action to initiate a strength contest with the target. If you succeed, the target is knocked prone and pulled 5 feet towards you. The rope can also be attacked and destroyed, but we'll likely leave that out because that seems like a fast way to ignore that action entirely.
Okay.
Cool. So Moss, as Butthole turns to sprint past you, let's do an opposed strength check, I guess.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. I feel like I'd use my big troll arm.
Yeah.
All right. That is a 22.
Oh, 21. You got me by 1.
Hey!
Oh!
Wow. Both so strong.
The strong arm of the law stops you, Butthole, as you run by. I think maybe it's like a... How do you imagine this, Laura?
I kind of imagine like I literally like just kind of like throw out my arm and kind of like get him like right in the stomach as he's
cool. So it's the classic
trying to
like,
bull past me.
Yeah,
it's
so,
like a clothesline, but at stomach height, so he just kind of doubles over.
Yeah, gut line.
Yeah, gut line.
All right, cool. So
it doesn't tear him in half.
Yeah. So Butthole, you drunk on your own sense of acrobatics and speed, rush full on into the arm of Moss, who kind of knocks you to the ground. Quinny, you're sprinting full tilt after him, so you just slam directly into his back. And the two of you kind of fall over in a buddy cops who just got into a fist fight so they could learn to be friends again kind of way.
In colliding with them, can I try to sleight of hand the keys out of his chachis?
Sure, bud.
I mean, they're in my hand. I'm holding them with one hand in my underwear.
So I didn't. I thought you just put your hand in your underwear to like be threatening.
No,
I thought they were between your butt cheeks. Yeah.
Okay,
I'm ready. How do you want to play this, Tom?
I didn't realize that was what you were doing, so I won't.
You probably could still get him out. Who knows? You're very dexterous, Jedrick.
Not anymore.
So you've both been knocked to the ground. You're both slightly dazed. And Moss, you see your opportunity to get these two to play nice. What do you do?
I'd kind of like to. There's a second cell, right? I would kind of like to just basically. I'd kind of like to throw them back into the other cell and slam the door if I can, just both of them.
So in the same cell or different cells?
I want them to be in the same cell.
So
okay.
with Terrence or the horse?
No, not with Terrence.
So with
the
the
other
horse.
one. With the horse.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So
I kind of feel like they need a timeout together to
Sure.
sort this out.
So with Terrence's help, you quickly, as they're both recovering, Butthole from just getting the wind knocked out of you entirely, and Quinny from being like slightly dazed from running headfirst into the massive slab of man that is Butthole. The two of you find yourselves coming to in the jail cell with Goblin Jr. the horse, who is understandably somewhat confused.
Yeah. So, wait, do I have the keys? Does Butthole have the
still
keys
has
to
the
both?
keys.
Butthole would still have the keys, unless in being knocked out,
Shit.
relaxing your grip or whatever.
Yeah, Laura, roll me a perception check.
She got
Yeah,
in
okay.
there and got them keys from you.
Perception. Fuck, my wisdom's awful. 12.
12. Okay, that's fine. So you do notice that he has the keys, and as he's kind of dazed, and again, you're neither of you is unconscious. It's just enough that you're kind of pliable. Also, Ryan, you're still dehydrated and like cracking hurt. And Quinny, you just ran into a big guy, so you're just
Equal.
your noggin's hurting.
Equally.
So yeah, you're pulled in, and the two of you find yourselves in a cell with each other and a horse.
What
Now,
just
this feels
happened?
more fair, at least. You were
Well-
bad. You shouldn't just pull a gun and stick it in somebody's face because you want something. That's what criminals do.
That's what the sheriff does when criminals don't follow orders.
I'm not a criminal.
That's what the criminals say.
But do you
Now,
know what? What do you have to? Do you know what, Moss? You seem like the adult here, so maybe we should hear what you have to say.
What I say is that I think you two should just talk it out, because you know what? Neither of you are seeing reason. Neither one of you. I'm trying to be reasonable with both of you.
I want to
tried to
talk.
be
What do you want to
reasonable.
talk about? That's the question. He just keeps pointing guns at me and telling me to go places and go to jail.
Well,
Okay.
I want you two to see eye to eye.
So, Moss, you decide to leave them to this because if there's anything that you've seen about kind of breaking up fights like this before, it's that you often just need to kind of like lock people in a room.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say you and Terrence leave them in the cell, and
Oh, wait, just a second. If you want this to work, and Butthole, go to the end and then lock them into the cell and throw Moss the keys.
great. So the
Wow.
Yeah, Quinny, you watch the keys slip away. There's also construction going on outside. That's definitely in game, not in my apartment.
That's
They're
rebuilding
rebuilding the stables so fast.
There you go. Yeah, great. Yeah, very good. Good work. So Moss, you and Terrence leave to go kind of do the rounds and to make sure to see how the reconstruction of the stables is going.
Well,
I bet it's erratic and distracting. And you leave Quinny and Butthole to talk it out. Quinny, you find yourself alone in alone plus a horse in a cell with Red Reggie, possibly Pastor Butthole. And you can feel this whole thing starting to unravel around you. You know that if any of these gangs actually come to town, you'll either have to suddenly decide to be a hero, which is something you've never had any interest in,
No.
or you'll need to escape pretty quickly. And if this guy isn't Red Reggie, you're kind of fucked, because this backwater place you thought you could hide is rapidly becoming a rather important and kind of hotbed of activity that is concerning, both from the gangs might find you here and from the Grey Waters might find you here, both of which would be very, very bad for you. So my question to you is, do you think you would share who you actually are with Butthole in the hopes of actually getting some answers, or would you continue to keep up the sheriff ruse?
I have no way to hand him off yet or anything like that. So I need to keep up the sheriff ruse. The sheriff ruse comes off when I'm have an escape, when I'm able to get away. So I can't give that up yet.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'm just an outlaw. And then this guy's just going to tell, if he can convince people that he is a guy named Butthole, a servant of the god Moonhammer, then he can easily convince them of the truth, which is that I'm an outlaw pretending to be the sheriff. So I cannot tell him that.
Yeah, I guess I meant more so if, and this certainly doesn't need to be the answer, but something to keep in mind is if he isn't Red Reggie, is there a way he could be your out, even if he isn't Red Reggie, rather than just...
Am I starting to buy into that?
I think, honestly, I think you're on the fence. I don't know. I mean, you're still Quinny Brownbarrow. You are a con man by trade. So it would be, I think, up to you.
Time goes on, he's just showing how he's increasingly capable of being dangerous. So
Okay,
it's like,
fair
I
enough.
feel like he busted out of shackles. He beat someone so hard their head burst. He evaded me at gunpoint, which doesn't happen to me very often.
Yeah. Okay. So then I think the challenge then to you, Butthole, is the time has come to see if you can convince a doubting Quinny, a very common factor in your life, of who you are. And the two of you actually have a legitimate unarmed moment to do that. So go ahead.
Oh, do I not have my guns anymore? Do you take all my equipment, Moss?
I feel like Moss would have naturally stripped you of your guns.
We didn't play that out, but hell yeah.
I see very little sense in being like, now you boys sit in this cell and sorted up, blam, blam. Wow,
With the loaded
sorted.
gun. Yeah.
Looks like he sorted. Yeah, exactly.
All right, so let's take a look at. Listen, we're going to go through. I think there's two stages to this conversation. One is me trying to convince you I'm not this guy, and the other is to find out why the hell you want me to be this guy so badly. He'll take out the wanted poster, and if this is the traditional wanted poster, Tom, it'll have that like defining marks. Like often
you
they list.
Believe it's a traditional wanted poster.
They list tattoos or other shit that you can find on somebody, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll be like, "All right, so you can see what it says are supposed to be marks on my body." Well, let's see what marks I actually have.
Okay.
And he could show off all his like weird tattoos that he's got on him, because he's got the one for Alan's name. He's got the ones he's had to get as like apology tattoos to the various kind of like crew members, and be like, I don't see these mathing out. Do you?
You have a Quinny tattoo, don't you? Somewhere? Don't you have like a? All right. Well,
I think, yeah. I can't remember. Honestly, the season
a lot
one,
of it got wrecked with burn scars.
Yeah, they are all a
that.
little burnt. So
Sorry.
they're there, but burnt.
Yeah, okay, gotcha. All right.
I can see the name Quinny. That would give me pause. That would be like, what the fuck? You don't know me. Why is that name there?
Yeah, I think given the amount of healing power you've had over the time since you were burnt up, Ryan, I think it's safe to say that the tattoos are there, and or you likely refreshed them. Like, I guarantee you there was a tattoo artist on the McSquiggly. Yeah. So if we want to say that you've refreshed your tats, I think that makes sense. That said, they are kind of acid burned from the guts of the Kraken, but visible enough if that's a card you want to play. I'd also like to know one from each of you what the three defining features of Red Reggie Tingler are as listed on his wanted poster.
He's missing a ring finger on his left hand.
He has an I Heart Daddy tattoo on his left arm.
He's got one stretched earlobe from that time when he was really rebellious and wore spacers.
Yes, I love that. I also love that in the
word
Old
for
West.
word. That's on the poster. Yeah. That time he was really rebellious and wore spacers.
Yeah, we briefly cut to the.
Now I don't know what I was thinking looking at this poster, thinking it was you.
We briefly cut to the Greywater office where a beleaguered clerk is sitting there, just like hearing the description from like a couple of hunters, and Annan, the wanted poster clerk, just goes, "Oh, fuck, I know why that guy got that done. Hang on, let me just elaborate here. Probably thought it would be cool, regretted it, spacers." Yeah, honestly, their commitment. Fucking outlaws. And then we cut back here because there's not a universe where Anna doesn't have a job she's very good at but hates.
But see, I have all my fingers. There's no I Heart Daddy tattoo, and I did not put spacers in. That would be really... I mean, those are something that I feel like I even knew I would regret when I thought of them when I was a teenager.
Well, if you're not Red Reggie Tingler, then who are you? And do not say Butthole. No
Pastor
one's name is
Butthole.
Butthole.
Well, okay, so another dimension. Technically, I started out as Bobbert Tingler was the name, but I changed it to a better name, Butthole Farch, when I became a cleric of Moonhammer, the goddess who lets me fart on my hands and set them on fire.
And I'm assuming, Tom, I know nothing about Moonhammer.
No,
No.
This is it's a godless land.
Okay.
As I've said. That said, there is the Church of the Hammer and Sickle. I just think much like Quinny in Dumb Faerun, like there are certainly people in town who still keep religion to some extent. You've certainly heard of gods, but like it's not really your thing, and you've seen no proof of it yourself. So, meh.
Okay, so a lot of that means nothing to Quinny.
So I'm from a land of like castles and knights and dragons and all of that kind of stuff. But we discovered, this is going to be kind of a big idea, but we're just going to go with it, that there are like hundreds of different versions of Faerun. So you can go through a portal and you'd be like, this one with all the horses and the hats. And then there's ours, which is like dragons and other stuff. And then there was one that seemed to be full of like metal people and like flying things that shoot light that make things explode. So like you can travel between them, and I sort of seem to have stumbled into this one.
Do you have any way to prove this nonsense?
Well, I mean, logically, no.
And that's what I'm looking for here is logic.
Ryan, roll me an insight check, please. Also, Tyler, just for your knowledge, most of what he's talking about sounds like complete and utter bullshit.
Yep.
Dragons are a thing in this world.
Okay.
It's Old West, but it's Old West as shot through the lens of Faerun. So in the same way that there are, changelings and elves, also monsters.
Nat 1.
Oof. Poop.
Making such progress.
Yeah. Okay. Well, unfortunately, no brilliant idea occurs to you.
Yeah, I got nothing. But listen, why don't we start from a position of I'm clearly not Red Reggie, he says, reading the page because he cannot remember the name otherwise.
Tyler, can you roll me a perception check, please? I'll give you advantage because of Ryan's epic failure.
Oh, so that's a 19 with advantage plus, new amount, plus 4, 23.
As he holds up the poster next to his face and like gestures wildly to it, you do see your name tattooed. I believe there was isn't it like Butthole plus Quinny forever?
I can't remember. I may have put that on
like
Quinny. No, Quinny was Moonhammer
plus-
forever. I think Quinny is the best, or something. It was something very much about
There's
like
one
Quinny.
that's like Quinny plus L and like Q plus A plus B equals heart or something like that.
Oh, there was when you
Something like that.
lose your mind or your memory. Someone was like, I owe Quinny like 200 gold.
Oh yeah, I think
And it
that
was
was
the
it.
memento things that Quinny's plan was like every time he goes nuts and looks at his arm, he'll be like, oh yeah, I owe him 200. And it's just going to constantly make money for me because he's always losing his mind, but that didn't end up happening.
But you did make that tattoo, right? You
I did
just
make the
never
tattoo.
Yeah,
I just
so
haven't
you
profited off it yet.
You see that tattoo. You see your name. So Butthole may not have proof because you rolled a 1, but your name is faded and etched in his skin. Also, apparently he owes you 200 gold, which
So Quinny just like points at him like that Leonardo DiCaprio meme of like, 200 gold. You owe me 200 gold.
Oh, that's so my world's version of you put that on me, hoping I'd get hit in the brain and forget, and then constantly give him money.
Well,
This
it
tracks,
sounds like
Quinny.
it worked because you're talking nonsense.
Yeah, but
But what? You're Quinny. What?
so on like
talking about
each
that dimension.
yeah, like
business?
each copy of the world has all the same people, but they're doing like different jobs and stuff. Except for me, I'm sort of a onesie, like that. There's only one of me.
I am racking my brain to see if I have ever seen Butthole before. If there's some kind of wild con that he could be playing, because then that would I'm basically going into my like thieving days of like is this some kind of elaborate ruse? Does he think I'm a mark? How does he have a tattoo with my name on it?
Oh, see, you're putting on your Quinny. I bet this is a scam and someone's trying to fuck me over face. I know that face. What's wrong? What are you hiding here? You've got something going on that's not supposed to be going on, because that's why you'd be paranoid. Otherwise, this would just seem stupid. Otherwise, you'd honestly just probably be mad at the universe for what's happening.
Is this guy a mind flayer? How does he know? Get out of my head. Quinny, that kind of shakes Quinny that he's hitting really close to the mark. So I think Quinny, would Moss have taken my my thieves' tools?
I don't think. Well, I guess that depends. Would Moss know you have thieves' tools? To her mind, you're a sheriff who arrived from town to like take care of this place. So do you think as you're doing the con, that would be something you would like use and show people you had, or is it something you would just keep in your boot? And
I picked the lock on the manacles of Terrence's manacles right in front of everyone.
That is true.
To get him out of them.
Okay, then
and that's probably not the first time I've just been like.
I don't think she would. I think knowing kind of, and again, Laura, correct me if I'm wrong, but what we know of Moss based on Juniper I'm going to start calling it Faerun Prime. It's not, but like my brain just keeps going there because I read a lot of comics. Dumb Faerun or Faerun Prime. What we know about that, Juniper, is I think the symbolic gesture of I took away your gun and your keys and I put you in this, I think she would just assume that you would take that gesture as intended and live up to the spirit of it, because that's what good people do.
Yeah. 100%.
Problem is, you ain't good people. So yes, you have your thieves' tools.
All right. I kind of wordlessly get up and just start to reach through the bars to pick the lock. My mind's going like a mile a minute, just reeling from how close you are to the truth and how wild it is that your story is starting to make sense. And I'm going to just try and pick the lock and open the door.
Butthole, would you let him go, or would you like you've seen Quinny storm off to deal with stuff before? It just hasn't been recent because you guys are so tight now.
Yeah, I think he'd probably let him go. I mean, he wouldn't know if he's storming off or just getting them out of the cell. Either of those is kind of a win. And I don't feel like Butthole's a huge fan of jails, just in general, if people can get out. Butthole's probably just petting the horse.
Yeah, and Goblin Jr. just kind of like does that like thing that sounds vaguely snarfy to you, and is clearly just having fun hanging out.
Man, I got to get you some carrots or something. This horse is cool.
So Quinny, without much difficulty, you're able to pick the lock. Okay. And where do you go to get some peace of mind?
I'm not going far. I'm actually just going to go to my desk. I'll open a drawer and I'll throw an apple to Butthole and I'll say, he doesn't like carrots. He likes apples.
Thank you.
Sit at my desk and I just need to sit down, man. And the door's swung open. Like this is all gone to shit.
Yeah, understood. All right. So as Butthole feeds Goblin Jr. the apple, Quinny, you kind of take a moment to try and put this shit together. Meanwhile, outside, Moss, you and Tumbleweed Terry are looking in on the stables, and it seems like. Generally speaking, things are coming to get together. People did a good job. But you notice on the periphery that Kayla Cattle Shield seems to be kind of concerned. Kayla's got a pretty level head. It takes a pretty level head to run a general store in kind of the middle of nowhere. I think of the Cattle Shields are I think, Moss, to your mind, like Uncle Jim provides a necessary service to the town, certainly, and is ultimately probably the reason why the town's still running. But the Cattle Shields kind of provide a sense of stability to the place.
Yeah.
And Kayla is looking a little concerned, and she kind of waves to you and says, pardon me, Deputy Moss. I'm sorry to trouble you. I understand there's a lot going on here today. But here's the thing. I ain't seen Leanna since all the action started. You seen her around town?
Leanna's missing?
I just haven't seen her since the fire, you know. She rushed out to help. I did too. And for a while they were both grabbing buckets and tossing them. But then, afterwards, I haven't been able to track her down. I was thinking of going back to the shop to look, but I figured I'd ask you first.
Well, you know what? With all these bandits around, I think we just call a halt to the building and everyone spread out and look.
All right. Yeah, I'd appreciate that. Thanks, Deputy. I'm going to go back to the store. You mind coming with me?
Not at all. And I just call out to everyone like, all right, everyone, stop what you're doing. We're all looking for Leanna Cattle Shield.
And everyone goes to like start looking. But Terry stops one guy and he's like, except for you keep hammering in case there's more distractions in the background that need explainifying. So one guy just stands by with a hammer to occasionally make hammer noises as necessary, and everyone else fans out to explore the town.
Nice.
So Moss, you and Kayla quickly make your way to the Cattle Shield General Store. Nice big sort of one-story building with that classic kind of like Wild West porch awning thing, where it's just got a few benches, so you make your way up the ramp.
Chair.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a nice place for people to relax. You yourself have spent a number of pleasant days kind of reading in the shade when not on duty here. So you make your way up the ramp into the store, and as soon as you both make it through the doors, Kayla just like lets out a cry because the place has been ransacked. It's been completely trashed, and in the middle of the sort of like central desk, the counter, is a hand with a knife through it. And a note. You see the twinkle,
like a severed hand.
Severed hand. Yep. You see the twinkle of a humble but still impressive wedding ring, and Kayla lets out like a cry. And as you approach the note, kind of keeping her a distance, you see that written in blood, it just says, "We're coming. 3 days. Y'all best leave." And then there's just a very like swirling script that says XOXO Archibald.
What? All right. Well, we got to get back to the sheriff's office. We gotta move on this quickly. We're gonna get Leanna back.
And Kayla just kind of grabs you by the shirt and kind of like leans down. She just says, "Whatever you and the sheriff need, you've got it. My shop is yours. They're coming. We gotta be ready."
Yeah, we're all gonna be ready. Don't you worry, Miss Cattle Shield.
And Moss, as you say that, you say it with conviction. But you're also aware that Tombslab has been out of bullets for 2 weeks. And aside from the few that you and the sheriff have, your munitions are actually running dangerously low. It's something you've been able to kind of sweep under the rug as you've been waiting for new shipments to arrive. But without weapons, Tombslab will fall. And it will fall in 3 days.
This episode of Dum-Dums and Dragons features the voices of Ryan LaPlante at the Ryan LaPlante on Twitter, Tyler Hewitt at Tyler_Hewitt on Twitter, Laura Elizabeth at EL Hamstring on Twitter, and our DM Tom McGee at McGeeTD on Twitter. This episode's sound was edited and mixed by Laura Hamstra, and Dum-Dums and Dragons logo is by Decapitated Markers at Decapitated Marker on Twitter. Our theme songs are And Now for That Massive Coronary and Skipping Through the Orchestra Pit Part 1 by Peter Gresser, and our ad music is No Control and Chiefs by Jazzar, JAHZZAR. are, all available at freemusicarchive.org. When it comes to Dum-Dums and Dice, you can visit our website at dumdumdice.com. Our Twitter and Instagram are at dumdumdice, and on Facebook at facebook.com/dumdumdice. But most importantly, we've got merchandise at redbubble.com/people/dumdumdice, or you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/dumdumdice. That's DUMBDICE. And tune in next week for more Dum-Dums and Dragons. Dum-Dums and Dice has to give a special thank you to the supreme beings of our Patreon at this time. Christian Menicola, Long, the Half-Blind Prophet, James Cuellar, Charles Grams, Christopher Little, Sue One, George Dolby, One True Artistry, Orion Birchfield, Lord Abradovic, Noel Lewis, Scott Garland, Anthony Griffin, Chet Awesome Laser, Jordan Neesmith, Benjamin V, Gavin and Abby McDonald, Taryn Hefner, and Jill and Noel LaPlante. If you want your name to be added to this list, you can join our Patreon too at patreon.com/dumdumdice. Thanks to them, and a little bit of thanks to you.